You're listening to The Driven, the podcast that gives you the news and the views, the ins and the outs on electric vehicles. The Driven podcast is presented by Sam Parkinson and Sarah Aubrey and is proudly brought to you by the Australian Electric Vehicle Association, Australia's leading voice for electric vehicle consumers and enthusiasts. The AEVA is a volunteer-run, not-for-profit community dedicated to electrifying Australia's transport as quickly as possible. Why not join the AEVA today? Visit aeva.asn.au/membership.
Hello, and today on the Driven podcast, battery electric vehicles took about 22% of the Australian market in the month of July. Are we still required to legally call EVs niche? We drive the Subaru Uncharted and the Genesis GV60, while Geely and Honda have arrived with cheaper electric cars, EX2, which we'll be discussing during this episode. Hatchbacks, a welcome change from the industry's long-running belief that every Australian needs a 2-ton SUV. There's that and quite a few things more to discuss, and today, as usual, joined by co-host Sarah Aubrey. Hello, Sarah. How are you?
Hello, Sam. It's so nice to be here. I just spent all day yesterday with you at the EX2 launch, but we're not sick of each other yet, are we?
Are you being sarcastic? I can't tell.
For anyone who didn't see our video yesterday, I have discovered something slightly distressing about Sam Parkinson, which is I did know that you had quite a big hole in your pop culture references, but we were discussing indicator sounds. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but a make or break for me is the indicator sound on, just to completely talk about something completely new. Indicator sounds are a bit of a make or break. If it's a bad indicator sound, it would be off my list, that car. So my favourite indicator sound to this day is the Polestar, all the Polestar cars, which sounds like the tracker in Aliens. And I asked you, Sam, don't you reckon? And I was like, don't you reckon it is that? And you were like, what was your answer to me?
Just, I haven't seen Aliens. I haven't seen it. What can I say?
Which I'm still reeling from.
Yeah.
And now I have another question, because a few people had comments and feelings about the fact that you hadn't seen Aliens, and I'm bracing myself for this answer. Sam Parkinson, have you seen the original Star Wars movies?
Yeah. Captain Kirk, right? I'm pretty sure that's the one.
Are you being sarcastic? You have to be being sarcastic, surely. Have you?
Yeah. Yes, Sarah. Yes, I've seen Star Wars.
What are they called? What are all three called?
All three what?
Star Wars movies. What are their names?
I don't keep that kind of information at the top of my... The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi.
Yes, very good. And the first one?
Luke Goes for a Walk. I don't know.
It's called Star Wars. A New Hope.
It's just called Star Wars. A New Hope. Okay. All right.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm feeling great relief. Let's now continue with the podcast, because...
Well, I'm glad you can agree to stay, and apologies to everyone that I've clearly offended by my gaping holes in pop culture. Some areas of pop culture.
Maybe it's more of a reflection that the people who follow me are probably like me and Gen X, and are just slightly mortified that you haven't watched films.
I'll get around to it. I'll put it on my to-do list. I'll watch. Is it Aliens or Alien?
Both.
Aliens?
Alien is the first one, which is like cult classic from the late 70s. I mean, Sigourney Weaver, amazing. Obviously, she's in all of them. And Aliens is the 80s more action-packed.
Was it a sequel of Alien?
Yeah.
Oh, so
there's a whole bunch of them. There's 3, 4, 5, I don't know how many there are, but I started to
So in the first one, there's one alien, and then there's multiple, which is why
correct.
They
well done.
Add the plural. See, I already know what happens. I don't even need to watch it.
You do not know what happens. And when you hear that tracker, you're going to go, wow, that's the Polestar indicator. That is what you will take away from Aliens.
Do you reckon Polestar might have actually deliberately taken it from that?
I reckon they say they didn't, but I'm like, nah, you did.
Well,
you totally did.
One thing we can agree on is the importance of the indicator sound. I also am a bit of a stickler for a good indicator sound, and I get very disappointed when the indicator sound is substandard. I had the BYD Atto 2 on loan last week, and I've got a few thoughts on that vehicle, but one thing I did not like was the indicator sound. It was just too clacky and it lacked depth. I like more of a thocky
I
sort
like more of a,
full kind of.
see, I like a subdued.
Mm.
Do you have an issue with it going tick, 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 or tick, 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 tick? Should it be up or down? Because I feel like one of them's backwards to me.
Well, I don't think I mind so much in terms of the order, but I do mind if it's not like if it's a syncopated rhythm, like if it's not consistent. That annoys me. Was it I think it was the Mazda 6E that had a syncopated rhythm to its, and it was like tick, 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 and I just thought, no, just keep it consistent.
Oh, then you
I don't
wouldn't have liked
wanna.
the Jeep Avenger, which is like is drums.
I don't
And
think I
when
would
you're
have liked
playing music in the car, they conflict, and
What?
that really hurts.
Oh, look, I'm not sure if I'd like that car anyway, but let alone the indicator sounds. Anyway, let's move on from indicator
right.
sounds because that's not the big news that we have to discuss today. Although we could do a whole separate podcast on indicator sounds.
Yep.
For those
And
who,
if you've got a hated indicator sound or a favorite, please let us know.
yeah, I think no, there's actually a guy I've seen on TikTok, and that's his whole channel. It's just testing different indicator sounds, and I love it. It's finally
Can you share
someone
that with me?
doing the
Because I
important work.
really
Yeah, sure.
actually
Yeah.
want to
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
partake.
fascinating. Okay, let's talk about this. I guess you could argue the bigger news, which is the sales results from the month of July. Now
Yeah.
we at the Driven reported it at 21.7% initially for BEV sales.
I think a few more have trickled in since then, and now the EVC combined with the FCAI numbers is 22.3%, which is epic.
Yeah.
That's
okay,
2
well,
months in a row, over 20%. So, yeah, it's on. That's 23,510 vehicles sold in the month of July that were pure electric vehicles. And that's not even all the vehicles sold, right? Because we know that some people don't report their sales. Xpeng, looking at you. Let's have a look. Do you mind if I dig into some numbers here with you?
Let us dig in.
So, BEV sales market share growth year to date, because let's talk about year to date, because month to month is a bit like meh, changes so much. But year to date, compared to last year, which was 7.7%, we now have 17.7% of vehicle sales. So across the year to date in Australia were pure electric vehicles. That means EV sales are up 129.2%. So onwards and upwards we go. And just to put that in perspective, and I just want to break it down over petrol vehicle, like as in diesel, plug-in hybrid, the actual drivetrain, right? What do you call it? Drivetrain? Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So battery electric, year to date, are up 134%. Plug-in hybrids are up 117.9%. Old school hybrids, HEV, think Corolla, they're up 10.8%. Petrol is down 24.7%, and diesel is down 15.3%. So there's a real trend there that things that you can plug in are up big time, and things that you can't plug in are either flat or, well, quite frankly, falling. So let's actually dig into the brands themselves. So Toyota came in at number 1. That's pretty, unsurprising, but they are down 19% year to date, and their market share has gone from 20% down to 16.3%. BYD coming in at number 2 are up year to date 115.3%. Kia are 0.5%, so quite flat. Mazda are down 16.7%. Ford is down 10.8%. Hyundai are flat 0.1%, they're down. Tesla are up 88%. Chery are up 71%. GWM are up 16%. MG are up 11%. And Geely are up, wait for it, 527.6%. And they've also got, just on the side here, even though it's Chery, a Motor JQ are up 873.6%. And Zeekr are up, it must have broken the mold because it's 999%. So what the trend is here is that legacy automakers who don't or haven't taken electric cars particularly seriously, either have no cars or very few cars, are actually down double digits And everyone else who is taking electric cars seriously are either up double or triple digits. That's the trend.
Yep. Yep. And for brands like Toyota, really saved by the hybrid factor. There's been an increase in hybrid sales. I think there's actually more vehicles that have been sold in July with some component of electrification, whether that's a plug-in hybrid or a mild hybrid or full electric, than non-electric component vehicles, so petrol or diesel ones. So that is now the most popular form of vehicle, one that has some form of electrification. Of course, there are different gradations to that. So yeah, I mean, it's not the first time we've been sitting here saying this feels like a trend. I think now, a few months into, these kind of figures that have been coming out of a pretty big growth in the electric vehicle market in Australia, you don't really need to be a data analyst to say that there's a real trend here, as you say.
Yeah. I mean, even the FCAI are changing their tune on the way that they talk about electric cars. As you said, it no longer seems to be this niche thing that they kind of mention as an afterthought. They're actually talking about the market itself is changing. But of course, again, they talked about charging infrastructure, which is their favorite thing.
Yeah.
There seem to be
yeah.
people who don't own EVs seem to complain about those things. But anyway.
Funny that. So BYD is almost 8,000 vehicles sold in July, which is 70% more than in July 2025. So it is still behind Toyota, as you said, but it is ahead of Kia, Mazda, Ford, and Hyundai. Pretty remarkable for a brand so new and a Chinese brand, let alone to have such a dominance in a market like Australia, don't you think?
Absolutely extraordinary. I think the Chinese are here and they are, I mean, is that sustainable to have that kind of growth? I know that they talk in China right now about the slowdown in their market, but they've had such incredible growth. You can't maintain that. So even a slight drop back in the kind of, we're up 300% or something, you can't maintain that. So it's like the way it's reported in China, I think, is a bit more dire than it actually probably is. It's just that they're starting to, the growth itself is not accelerating at the rate it used to. And I don't think it can continue unless they go, okay, well, we're going to sell overseas and we'll continue that trajectory. Because BYD are down, for example, in their trajectory, but Geely is up. So is that maintainable? I don't think so. What's quite interesting is the model breakdown, which is the top performing or top selling battery electric vehicles. Number one is the Tesla Model Y L, which is just amazing. So remember we've discussed before, Tesla don't really have many deliveries in the first month of every quarter. So this is one of their down months. They've obviously sort of gone, okay, everything's going off in Australia. Let's order more vehicles. So they are doing deliveries this last month, which is unusual. But yeah, 2,429 Tesla Model Y L sold. Number one selling vehicle. And for the first time ever, they've split the standard Model Y L with they've split the Model Y L with the Model Y. Coming in at number two is the BYD C-Line 7 with 2,548. So yeah, pretty close. And then we've got the standard Model Y, 2,215. Extraordinary. And then the Geely EX5, the Zeekr 7X, the Omoda JQ J5, and then surprisingly the BYD Atto 2. That sold very well, over 1,200. Then the Kia EV3, 804, Kia EV5, and then lastly the BYD Dolphin making a comeback.
Wow. Yeah. Back from the dead, the Dolphin.
Yeah.
There you go. That's fascinating. Yeah, and Zeekr selling almost 2,000 7Xs. That's a pretty good month for them, isn't it? I mean, that's
really good.
That's over a third of the medium SUV market above the $65,000 category. And so they've sold over 2,000 vehicles during the last month in total. If you take into account, the 009 and the X as well. And so that's more than Volkswagen, BMW, Honda, or Audi. So they'd be pretty happy with that, I would imagine. So interesting. I mean, still 4 out of 5 vehicles in terms of BEVs were SUVs. So we still love our SUVs, don't we? But I feel like everything now is called an SUV. It feels like almost every vehicle, even if it doesn't look like an SUV, is an SUV of some kind. I don't even know what an SUV is anymore. What is it? Is it a? Because
Because we've
it's
got the
not to do with this.
crossover, haven't we? Because really,
Yeah.
hatches that are electric now are so tall because of the battery underneath. So they are all kind of a little bit more lifted than what you would accept as a traditional hatch. I feel like everything's. People would say that my Kia EV3 is an SUV, but it's just a small crossover in inverted commas.
Yeah.
Or it is.
Yeah. See, I wouldn't look at that and go SUV, but who knows? Anyway, SUV is still very popular indeed. But we are getting some smaller cars coming into the electric vehicle market, which is good. One of those, of course, being the Geely EX2. As you noted earlier, we were at the Australian launch of that vehicle in Sydney yesterday at the time of this recording. So yeah, it's a car we wanted to see Geely bring in. We feel like more hatches is a good thing. Just thinking about the dominance of SUVs, it'd be good to see some smaller cars in the cities where they have a place and actually can be quite efficient and useful, particularly for parking purposes. And also less likely to kill people, which is always a nice little side note. If you care about that kind of thing. So the EX2 comes right in to compete directly with the likes of BYD's Atto 1, you've got Hyundai's Insta, you've got the Ion UT from GAC, and you've got, what else have we got? We've got, I guess
BYD
there's the
Dolphin.
Dolphin, yeah, absolutely, yeah. And, well, I guess you got some of the other ones like the Fiat 500e and the Aura as well from GWM, which have been around for a bit longer. Pricing wise, look, it's competitive. I wouldn't say it blew anyone's socks off with the pricing. It was about 26 and a half for the base.
It works out to be about 29,400 from memory.
With on-roads,
With
right?
on-roads in New South Wales.
$30,990 for the top spec.
And that's about 34 grand.
About $34,000. So I think you and I we spoke about this yesterday, and we kind of both came to the conclusion that that pricing is okay if those retail prices were drive-away prices. Now that would be a standout option in the electric hatch market. As it is competitive, and we think it's a good car. We can't really talk about the driving impressions just yet; they're still under embargo. But in terms of pricing and in terms of what it has to offer, it's good. But is it enough to really take off in Australia? What do you think?
I think all the cars that you just mentioned have fantastic positives and some shortcomings. So no car is perfect. No car's perfect anyway, but none of those cars are, a massive standout is what I'm saying. I think probably the biggest problem for the EX2 is the Ion UT. It looks very similar and it has more range. So on paper, people probably just look at that, and it has faster charging. So I think on paper, you'll just go, oh. And especially the base model of the Ion UT, which does come with more range, more charging. It does come with heated seats, heated steering, a lot of the things that come with that top spec Geely, which is 34, and the Ion UT is 32, that base model. So I think that's probably its main competitor. I think brand-wise, Geely is probably more known. I think something I think they should push is that they have all that Volvo safety in their cars. And I think I really like their interface. So the software is really nice. There's lots of things to really love about that EX2, and it's rear-wheel drive, big frunk, lots of positives. And an app, it's got nice things. So sure, I think maybe if you're a Geely family, maybe you've got an EX5 at home and then you want something as you run about, or one of your kids wants a car or something like that would be great. But yeah, I feel like it's priced well when you compare it to the EX5, for example. It's a good price. It's just that there are other things in that segment competing heavily with it. So that's the issue.
Yeah, maybe not quite enough to stand out, obviously, from the crowd, but does have its strengths. One of those being cargo space. I think that's kind of what they've tried to put an emphasis on. How much space can you fit in a small hatchback? And I think they've done a pretty good job. You've got a 70-litre frunk because it is a rear-wheel drive. They've got a space for a really large frunk for a car of that size. And then you've got 375 litres of cargo space in the boot, which is class leading, really. There's no other hatchback that with that much space. The closest would be the MG4 with 363 litres of space. But if you compare it to like the Insta, which only has 280 litres of space, the Fiat 500e has 185 litres of space, which is quite small. The Nissan Leaf, which is actually a bigger vehicle by some margin, has 405 litres of space. So it's almost as big as that. So I think they've done a great job in my opinion, in the cargo space. And it's definitely a feature that I think they've been was a focus of their presentations at the launch yesterday. I agree with you that for people who are less familiar with the Geely brand, I mean, they're not a small brand. They've sold almost 500,000 of these cars, EX2, just the EX2 alone globally.
Amazing.
It is the most popular electric hatchback in the world by some margin. So it's not a new vehicle that they're experimenting. We're just getting the car for the first time in Australia, but it's definitely not a new vehicle for Geely, at least. But that for those who are less familiar with Geely, I would imagine that knowing that it comes from the same brand that also works very closely with Volvo because they're part of the same family, the same auto family, that would be something that would be quite reassuring. When you think of Volvo, you think of good quality, extremely safe, like top of the safety standards. I thought it was interesting in the presentations they did yesterday that they never actually said the word Volvo. They always refer to it as a sister company, but they never actually used the word Volvo. And I don't know. I mean, that must be deliberate. I would have thought so because, I mean, that's
everyone knows like that Volvo safety.
Yeah.
So I think that actually would tip, if you were really struggling to choose, that actually would be a deciding factor for many consumers. That's what I think. So I think they should lean into that. I also think that the interior itself will probably really appeal to people because it actually reminded me a lot of the smart #1, #3, that center console looks very like that. And of course, they also part own smart. So you can see some of that influence there. And it's a really comfortable, they sort of described it like a lounge room, right? It's a really comfortable place to be. For a car that's that affordable, it's actually a very nice interior. Very, very lovely. I'd love to see the white interior. We didn't get to see that. I think that would be particularly nice. And it's got everything that you would need. The tech is great. The screen is really snappy. It's really clear. I really like the Geely software. And I'm just genuinely so excited that we have another small electric hatch on our roads. And perhaps what the big thing that Australians need is that we just need to be convinced that maybe you don't need a huge battery. If it is just your city runabout, which is how they're selling it, right? That's how they're marketing it. As your second car, 55.1% of Australians have two or more cars. Perhaps it's us that need convincing that you don't need a car with huge range. You don't need a car that's going to go 500 kilometres if it's just your second car in a city runabout, because the average Australian drives 36 kilometres a day. So maybe it's us that needs to sort of go, okay, well, that's actually enough. And it's affordable and it'd be great as a second car.
Well, anecdotally, I can just say from my experience, as you know, I've got a Hyundai Insta as a second city runabout car, and that's got about 340 kilometers of range, which is about the same as what Geely say the top spec EX2 has. And I've got to say, I've never needed anywhere near the full 340. At no point, I don't think it's even gone below 50%. I mean, because you just don't need it. I drive 12 to 15 kilometers per day, maybe up to 20 if I'm doing a few errands, but really you do not need it. So for those who are thinking, well, I might need 500 kilometers for my second car just because I want to have that extra range in case for whatever reason, you don't, especially if it's your second car. And I've had the Insta now for 6 months, and honestly, I've never, I don't even use half of the range that it has. So obviously everyone's got their own unique circumstances, but as someone who lives in the city and has a small hatchback with under 350 kilometers of range as a second vehicle, it is more than sufficient. So there, that's my 2 cents on that. I think the issue with Geely's EX2, it does have particularly the entry level, you've got a pretty small battery, 35 kilowatt hour LFP battery. And so with that, it's 252 kilometers of WLTP range. Now, based on my experience, that's actually going to be enough anyway. But I still think that a lot of people are going to prefer to go for the upgraded 47 kilowatt hour battery, which has a bit more power, but also almost 100 kilometers of extra WLTP range. So how many of those base models they sell, I'm not sure.
They didn't. They even themselves, I don't think they expected to sell that many. I think it's going to be the top spec.
Yeah. Otherwise, the other sort of things to consider, the DC charging rates are pretty low compared to other EVs on the market. Top of 60 kilowatts for DC charging on the base and 80 kilowatts for the top spec Inspire. Which, I think, as someone, I'm just speaking from my experience again, from someone who has, electric hatchback as a second runabout vehicle, I wouldn't often use DC charging beyond that anyway, to be honest. I mean, I think it's particularly really high DC charging rates are really helpful when you're on the road for a long road trip and you just want to top up and keep going. But I think for most circumstances, a lot of people are either using charging at home, if you're lucky enough to have that. And if you don't, there's lots of now AC charging stations from, pole chargers from EVX or from AGL. Or
a lot of the DC
AC
chargers around here are 50. So
exactly.
It wouldn't really matter, would it? I do think it's a shame it's only got 6 kilowatt AC charging. I think that's a bit too low now. I think the majority of cars that we're seeing are 11 kilowatt AC charging. Even 22 kilowatt is starting to become a bit of a norm. So that, I think, is a shame and a bit of a letdown, because if we are going to have more pole chargers, there'll be 22 kilowatt chargers. You're paying to use those chargers. It would be great to just...
Yeah.
11 would have been great. And of course, the Iron UT has 11 kilowatt AC charging. And a lot of those small hatches do. I don't think the MG4 does it? I think that's still 6 or 7. So that's another one.
Right.
But yeah, look, but the BYD Atto 1 has 11 kilowatt AC charging. Similar DC charging, 65 and 85. And yours has 11, doesn't it?
I think it has up to 11. I've only got a single phase charge, so I'm only really getting up to 7 anyway.
I mean, true. If you can charge at home, doesn't matter, because you're on single phase.
Got 3 phase. Well, yeah, that's right. For me, single phase then doesn't really matter. I'm getting 7 anyway. So yeah, there you go. So I let's see how that goes, and see if they can get the kind of sales they've been getting in other regions where that car is particularly popular. I think they already delivered about over 400 in the month of July, but
amazing.
I suspect a fair portion of that might be just deliveries to their dealership networks and their press fleets and so forth. But it's definitely some people have ordered that for sure. And
I've had people asking about it, and I've had people who've ordered it message me, and they love it, absolutely love it. I think the great thing is, if you are in the market for an electric hatch, you actually have a lot of choice now. That's not something we could have said a year ago. You had lots of choice in a mid to large family SUV, but now hatch drivers rejoice. You do actually have lots of cars, affordable cars to choose from. The vast majority of them have a 3 in front of it, and that is so exciting.
Yeah, I agree. Long live the hatch.
Long live the hatch. The small city. Actually, I have the BYD Atto 1 at the moment, and I parked it just like down the street. I was like going for a drive, parked it and went, oh my God, that was so easy. I'd forgotten how easy it is to park a small car, because I used to drive a Fiat 500, and I was like, I loved that car because it was so great to just poodle around town in, fang about, park it anywhere, don't worry about it. And I have that same feeling with the Atto 1. And it's just like, yeah, so easy, a doddle, absolute doddle. So a car like that size, and like your Insta, but this is significantly cheaper, it's just great. If you don't need something to go far and wide, then what a great little thing, size-wise.
Yeah,
fab.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I love parking my Insta, which is one of the smallest vehicles on the market. But speaking of small hatchbacks, there was some new pricing announced early in the week on the Honda Super One, which is their tiny hatchback. It's even smaller than the Hyundai Insta. It's just 1.58 meters long and 1.58 meters wide. So that
Wow.
is smaller than the Insta. It's smaller than the 500e.
Amazing.
And it's just 1,093 kilograms, which is pretty light for a modern EV. So yeah, tiny car. I think it looks cool. I don't know if it comes in any other color than purple. Every time I've seen any shot of it, it's always a purple vehicle. So I'm assuming they've got other colors available. But that's going to be arriving in the next few months, actually. But only, I think they've got less than 200 of them. So
But maybe it's us that need convincing.
They say Honda say they've had 6,500 expressions of interest.
Really?
But just 150 or so, which are going to be available this calendar year, and there'll be more, I assume, available from 2027. So there might be a bit of
They've made it look like the Honda E. Imagine if they just made the Honda E again and just gave it more range and it was cheaper. That would make me so happy.
I'd buy that in a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat.
Yeah. Well, I had to check. I checked with the accountant first. I'm not sure if I can just go around buying cars
sell
in
everything.
a heartbeat. Yeah. Just trade in the Insta. But look, that car looks cool. Definitely one for the Honda enthusiasts, I think, because 36,900 drive away. So similar-ish, a little bit more than the top spec EX2, but it just comes with a 29.6 kilowatt-hour battery, which is 253 kilometers of range. So you're getting the base spec range for the top spec price if you're looking at the EX2 for this Honda.
Wouldn't take long to charge.
No, you can probably plug it into the wall and it'll be charged in a few minutes, like charging your phone. Similar kind of specs actually to the base EX2 in terms of its output and its range and its battery size. It's just that it is going to be, if you compare it to the base EX2, it is a bit more expensive. It is going to be about $7,000 more, and you're getting similar specs.
But it's boxy and it looks like a Nissan Cube, so
it does. So you're paying for the what are you paying for? The Honda look,
the Honda badge,
the Honda badge, I guess. Yeah.
The K car vibe. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess so. Look, it's interesting that they've launched this with just 130 available, but I guess it's nice that another Japanese car has come to the EV party. Bit late, but nevertheless, at least with something. It's not going to transform Honda's sales immediately, but maybe it does signal a shift for Honda into the EV market, seeing BYD, Geely, and Geely and some of those other brands all bringing in the small electric hatches. Hopefully we'll see how that goes. I mean, obviously they're not going to have that many sales on the board with that kind of availability. But
did you get a cupcake? I didn't get a cupcake.
No cupcake for me.
Some car journalists got cupcakes.
Maybe I need to talk more about Honda. Hey, can I just say, Honda, if you're listening,
a cupcake.
This is not about the cupcake. I love cupcakes. Okay, it is about the cupcakes. Fine. I want a cupcake. Send it to me. But look, I just want to say that I was a proud owner of a Honda Jazz for many, many years.
You love that thing.
I absolutely love that car. Fantastic. Why they didn't bring an electric version of even a plug-in hybrid version of the Honda Jazz, I would have even considered. But that was a great vehicle. Talk about storage and what's the word? Like a TARDIS.
Again, pop culture reference.
Pop culture reference.
Sam didn't know what a
Tick for
TARDIS
Sam.
was. Yeah.
Okay.
We do
no
know.
need to bring that up. Hey, I'm using
Never
it
living that
correctly.
down.
Excuse
Also,
me.
Sam will be providing you with his residential address, Honda, if he sent some cupcakes.
In case you have excess cakes.
Any leftover cupcake.
That's fine. It's fine.
Do you see how they
mind.
buy us out with food?
I'm not cut at all. Well, yeah. That's right. I'm not saying I'm going to give it a good review. I'm just saying it might increase the chances of a good review. That's all I'm saying. I'm not for sale. So, cake or not, I do love a cake. So that'll be, cool looking car. I haven't driven it, but hopefully we will do so at some point if they've got any left from the 130 that they're shipping in.
Maybe we'll get to drive
Australia.
it at some point.
Yeah, maybe we will. Maybe we will. Now, what else? You and me have been driving another car, which we did a video on together, actually, with the Subaru Uncharted. Now, we've been doing a few Subaru things because they now have 3 vehicles in the Australian market, electric vehicles, that is. Obviously, the Solterra, which they released an updated version of that. I think it was at the start of the year, wasn't it? And then they've got the Trail Seeker, which is basically the electric version of the Outback, a big 5-seater wagon. tremendously fast. We were at the launch of that and very impressed with that vehicle as well. And then more recently, you've got the Uncharted, which is, I was going to call it an electric sort of crossover, but they would call it a sports electric. It's a small car. Is it a small car?
It's over 4.5 meters long. I don't think that's a
It's
small car.
all right. It's a smaller car than
It's their smallest car.
it's the smallest car. It's
Bigger
a
than my
smaller
car.
car. It is. Yeah. Look. Okay. All right. Well, sitting in the back seats of the Uncharted, it felt like a small car to me.
For you, 6'5".
For me, 6'5".
Felt fine for me. I was having a great time.
Well, good for you. I also, because Subaru like to raise the floor, they've got more clearance underneath their floor, just in case you want to take it on X mode and do some little outback kind of trails. You do feel a little bit higher in the vehicle, which means you have a bit less space up top, and maybe that adds to my sense of having less space in the car. But put that aside, we actually both agree that this was in the top 3 vehicles that we've driven, or that I can remember in any way. Really fantastic drive.
Like phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Surprisingly good. I mean, I love driving the Solterra and the Trailseeker. Like, drive so well. I'm not a Subaru person. They're the only Subarus, and now the Uncharted that I've driven, have no experience with Subaru, so I didn't know about the whole Subaru and the Subaru people that love the Subarus. And I was like, oh, this is totally a thing, which I didn't know about. And now I get it. But that
Well, I mean,
car,
they're yeah, go ahead.
well,
Sorry.
that car drives so differently to the other two in that, I mean, they do call it sporty for a reason. It has so much power. Like, you can speed really easily. Like, you've got to be really careful.
Yeah.
But driving
4.6
dynamic wise,
seconds.
yeah, like fast, but
Fast.
so responsive. Steering, you just feel really good behind the wheel. You feel really connected to the car. You have a feeling behind that wheel that, well, as we were saying, top 3 is a very rare feeling where you feel so good driving it. And so the Model 3 for me is the best car I've ever driven. The Mini would be another one. But that car just had...
Which Mini was that?
Well,
Sorry,
the
which
electric Mini, but also the original Mini. Like, the Minis just have I fit perfectly
the
behind.
Cooper.
Yeah.
The Cooper?
Yeah.
Yeah,
the Cooper.
Sorry.
The Cooper. And that Uncharted just had something magical about it. It was really just phenomenal. I loved it. Didn't want to hand it back.
Yeah. Yeah. I look, yeah, just really super fast. Man, I just but not to the point where it kind of made me anxious. Like, it wasn't like an Ioniq 5N or like a Genesis Magno. Where it sort of had these sort of, it was a performance vehicle. I mean, it is a sports vehicle, but I don't need any more power than that. I mean, I couldn't even use the power. I mean, you're on the highway and you felt like you were just tapping the accelerator, and it just
But
had
it's
so
not
much left to give.
overpowered. It has this controlled acceleration. That's the
yes.
difference. It has this, and it was so perfectly controlled that I was like, I have that power, but I can use it in this way that makes me feel like it's not overpowered.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I would look. It's a bit small for a family. I think if you're someone that's my height as well, it's something to consider. I wouldn't want to sit in the back of that vehicle for too long. If you've got lanky teenagers, you might want to look at one of the bigger versions of Subaru's electric range. If you do want to look at a Subaru, it does have quite a bit of a cult following. You're right. I mean, one of the reasons is I guess, I mean, what is Subaru known for? They're known for their symmetrical all-wheel drive, as they call it, and then this box engine, which gives it a pretty unique drive. And as someone that has had a Subaru, I had a Impreza, and it was a really lovely vehicle to drive as well. Just incredibly thirsty in the city. And
Right.
That's why I gave it up. My God, it was... I think I was getting about 250 kilometers of range in the city.
No.
So
That is awful.
just awful. But that car on the highway, I loved it. So I have had some experience with Subaru. Interesting that without the box engine, of course, it doesn't. I didn't feel like I was missing anything. In fact, it was just like an even better version of the petrol box engine version of Subaru that I had driven in the past. So
Isn't that nice
yeah.
that they can translate that from their petrol cars? They've managed to convey that feeling for their electric. To me, that's really amazing engineering.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was surprised by, I've mentioned before that you and I drove to Canberra together in the Solterra. I've actually done quite a lot of driving, as have you, in the Subarus now. And just on the open road, it's so comfortable. You feel so safe. So it's just really reassuring and planted and enjoyable on the open road. But just really, this one, the Uncharted was so nimble and fun around the city as well.
Yeah.
That's the thing, they're so capable, and the fact that you can take it onto dirt roads, down to the snow. It sounds like an ad for Subaru. It is not. Just, you've got the ground clearance, so it opens those things up for people maybe that drive regionally more often or live regionally. But the only downside, of course, that I can really pick for all three of those vehicles is that they don't come with a spare tyre, which does seem to be a real sticking point for people who would live regionally or travel regionally. So it would be great to see that resolved at some point, or find a solution of some sort.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's very hard to find an electric vehicle with a spare tire, isn't it? I mean, I can't even think of any. Maybe the Toyota Hilux BEV. That's about it.
There's a few. There's the Amoda E5 has a full-sized tyre.
Does it?
Yes. The JQ J5.
I've got that car at the moment.
Has it got a tyre in it?
I don't know.
Have you checked? Go and have a look.
Checked.
It does.
Okay.
The JQ J5, probably a reason why that is so popular is that has space for a tyre. I'm pretty sure you'd even be able to fit, perhaps someone could answer this. I'm pretty sure it's got space for a full-sized spare tyre. The Hyundai Kona, this is all from memory, sorry, has a space saver tyre. My car, the Kia EV3, has space for a space saver as well. So there's a few little cars out there. There could be a couple more, but they're there, but they're few and far between, definitely.
Yeah,
and there is space kind of in the trail seeker, wasn't there, for a tyre? I just don't think you'd fit even a space saver in there. You'd have to lift the false floor a bit higher. They could potentially do a workaround, potentially, to put a space saver in there, maybe even a full-sized tyre.
Yeah, I think vehicles that kind of advertise themselves as off-roaders or capable of doing off-roading, I think a spare tyre would be cool.
They need a tyre.
In a tyre. Anyway, 60,000 or so for that vehicle before on-roads, but, 22 kilowatts of AC charging, what's the DC charging?
150.
Something pretty good. So ticks all the boxes. 500.
Well over 500. 522 kilometres of range. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
Expensive.
Great car.
For some people, too expensive, but it is,
Yep.
you go, you compare, someone online was in my comments was like, it's like twice the price of a JQ almost. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not the same car. It's a sports car.
No.
It performs in a completely different way and is capable in a different way. But,
I mean, comparing it to yes, it is. It depends what you want to use it for. But if I've driven, you and I have both driven the J5 and the Uncharted, and there is a big difference in the way that they drive. But both fantastic vehicles for totally different purposes, and it really depends on what you need and what you want. So so very different markets indeed. But it's obviously not the cheapest vehicle on the market.
Yeah.
But the J5 is one of the cheapest vehicles on the market, still doing pretty well, isn't it? Selling, I think they sold well over 1,000 in the last month.
Smashing it.
I'm just checking out the list, which of course you can find on the Driven website. We publish the month-by-month sales, so comprehensive list. 1,262 they sold last month, which is actually their worst month since April. Sold about 2,000 in the previous 2 months, but still pretty good and a capable vehicle at a great price.
Could well be just between shipments, and all sorts of things.
Who knows?
Just coming
That's
in.
Right. Totally.
What do you think about the Toyota RAV4 being the number one selling vehicle, and yet Toyota is still down with that? What are your thoughts on that?
The fact that the Toyota is still down despite
having the
number one vehicle?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it just shows what the stats say, which is that, the overall car market is kind of flatlining, but we're seeing an increase of share of BEV vehicles, and it's just representative of people wanting to steer away from having to pay for fuel, isn't it? I mean, the RAV4 is it's so embedded in Australian culture. I mean, it's really, it's a great car. I mean, they're reliable, they last a long time. The hybrid versions, which they only sell now, are pretty efficient, from what I understand. And it's an SUV that isn't extremely large, but large enough, and seems to be exactly what most Australian families are looking for. So it's going to take. You're not going to see a depletion of a car like that overnight, but it does feel like as time goes on and as petrol prices continue to rise and go down and then rise and then go down and rise, people are going to get fed up with that. And even with a hybrid, you don't want to fill up your car
No.
fuel. So as good as the car is. So anyway, that's my view on it. But it is
It is
interesting to
amazing, though, in
see.
a down month for Tesla, they still managed to sell that many Model Ys.
Mm.
If you joined those two models together, which I know they separated this month, so it's kind of cheating. Last month they didn't, for example, the two Model Y models. It outsold the Ranger by far. So it came in at number 3. But it's still in the top, though both those variants, when you do separate them, are still in the top 10 best models sold.
Yeah.
Which is extraordinary for a down month. Like, what's next month going to be like? That's when they start getting shipments in again properly. So,
Yeah.
whoop.
Yeah.
And I think some people probably think, oh, this is just because of the oil crisis and these are just people who panic bought and done all that sort of thing. But I actually don't think that's the case. People could have cancelled orders. They are taking these deliveries. They are buying these. And the fact that the oil crisis is continuing and it's got no, like, I'm still looking at Polymarket just out for fun. And it's like, Strait of Hormuz, the chance of it getting back to normal and they're pushing the date out now to July next year, and it's still only 50% chance. I'm like, this thing's going to go on for so long. And I think people know that. And I think they're sick of this volatility and being beholden to these fossil fuels and just someone in another country on a whim going, oh, it's on again, off again, we're negotiating, we're not, and playing the stock market. And then the oil price goes nuts again, or it drops, or it... And we're all the people at this end so reliant on fossil fuels. 90% of our diesel is imported. We're the second most freight-dependent country on the planet. So all our food's going to go up. We're all affected by this, regardless of whether we're driving electric or not. But I think people are just sick of it and they want to take some control and go, do you know what? If I can control my kingdom and have a bit of safety and security and know how much my fuel is going to cost me every week, which is tiny if it's electric compared to paying through the nose, or even if there is fuel there, could we see shortages in the future? We already saw the beginning of that at the beginning of the crisis. This could worsen and go that way. People are aware of that. I think they're done. I think a lot of people are just sick of it.
And I think as in those who are sort of on the fence, the more you see these vehicles on the road, your neighbor has it, your friends have it, your family have it, and you realize, actually, it's not such a leap.
The sky didn't fall in.
The sky, yeah. I mean, they're doing okay.
They seem to be surviving. In fact,
right.
They seem to be quite happy.
Thriving.
You're saving how much every week? What?
I just want to make a point about the YL because that 2,500 of those delivered last month. I just think that, and it's, as you said, the first time that they've actually reported that separately to the Model Y, which is interesting, and I wonder if they'll keep doing that. But that's an $80,000 vehicle.
Yeah.
That is not a cheap car. By the time you put it on the road, it's $80,000, and to sell that many of a car at that price, I think, is quite striking. I mean,
but it is way cheaper than all the 7-seaters out there. If you want an electric 7-seater, I mean, it's a 6-seater, but if you only need 6 seats, it's probably about 40 grand cheaper than most of the other cars on the market. So I think that's why. And I think you probably got people upgrading their Model Y. What do you reckon? Potentially, all
there
three.
might be. But but if you look at the other top-selling models in Australia year to date, the Model Y obviously, that starts at around that sort of high 50s, 60s. C-Line 7 about the same price. EX5 is
mid 40s, mid to late
40s, isn't it? Yeah. JQ, J5, mid 30s, 7X, 50s, early 60s. I mean, that's a big jump between that and an $80,000 car in terms of how much people are paying. So I know that it is a different segment. It's a 6-seater, and that's obviously a big part of it. But it is still, it's sort of a lot more expensive than any other vehicle in the top 10. So,
But this is interesting. Yeah. Tesla just have sent, literally just before we started recording, I got an email from Tesla saying they're obviously just like, we're just going for it now because they've just put in a get $2,000. This is not an ad for Tesla. Get $2,000 more when you trade in. So trade in your current vehicle and get a trade-in bonus of $2,000 towards your purchase of a new Model 3 or Model Y. Order and take delivery by the 31st of December 2026. So they're going for it. They're like, all right, let's go, peeps.
Yeah.
Bit of carrot. Love it.
There's a few sort of offers going around at the moment. I guess generally speaking, August, September, I feel like they're good times for offers in the auto market.
I think the EX2 had an offer with it, didn't it? Maybe a free charger or something? Don't quote me on that. They had some offer.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Speaking of brands, which is obviously all we've been talking about, but it was interesting to note there was an article there was an article that Joshua Hill published on the Driven earlier today, actually, just about BYD and MG being the most searched cars in Australia. It was done by the RACV, the Royal Automobile Club of Victoria. And they used their data, and they found that BYD and MG were the most searched brands.
This is a Google search, you mean, like a search engine search?
Yeah, I think they collected data. Well, no, they used the search. I think not from Google, but from their sort of car match website.
Oh, okay. Right.
So yeah, it's definitely a smaller sort of net to cast, but I still think it's an interesting little bit of data that those two were the most searched, and not Toyota or Tesla or some of the other more established brands. I mean, I guess you could say BYD is an established brand at this point, right?
BYD doesn't surprise me. Look, to be honest, out of those Chinese brands, the two most well-known ones would be BYD and MG, yeah?
Yeah, I'd say so. You're probably right. Yeah,
Geely would be a close third, but they're still quite new. MG have been here the longest, and it's obviously some people don't even know it's a Chinese brand still, potentially.
Yeah.
But they've got, I mean, that MG S6, that is great, that car. I was so impressed with that car. What a great offering, what a fantastic price. I think both those brands are also cheaper than a Tesla. That's a Tesla, a Zeekr, they're in a different price bracket. I think if you're budget conscious, those would be the two brands that you're like, right. And if you've not heard of JQ J5 or what else? I don't know. There's nothing else in there really that I think of. But yeah, GAC, if you've not heard of them, obviously they've got some compelling offerings. But yeah, I'd imagine they would be the two most popular. And probably advertised a lot. Although Geely's, what's actually really nice is seeing Geely putting so much into their advertising of the EX2. I was going along the M2 a few days ago, and there was a massive billboard on the highway there, going, wow.
Well, you and I were walking through Martin Place metro station and in Sydney, and we were just walking past billboards of the EX2.
Yeah.
On the way to the launch.
Yeah.
So often you're used to seeing SUVs put there, so it's nice to see a bit of coverage for the hatchback.
Oh, it's nice to see some electric cars being advertised. I mean, I know there is more of it these days in a traditional sense, but we still, I mean, that's a topic in itself. I don't personally think that we should be advertising internal combustion engine vehicles anymore. I think we should treat them like cigarette ads, but that's probably quite controversial for people.
Oh my God.
I think we're done with that. I'm not saying don't sell them. I'm saying let's stop advertising them. Let's do that.
Well, if you think people are upset about my gap in pop culture knowledge, just wait until they hear what you have to say about banning the advertising of
just the advertising.
Cars.
Don't think that, cigarettes are bad for you. Smoking is bad for you. So are internal combustion engines. They are bad for your health, bad for human health, bad for the planet. Maybe it's time not to promote them so heavily. And we do promote them very, very heavily in this country. Maybe it's time just to wind that back. It's not saying don't sell them, not saying don't ban them, just saying let's not encourage people to buy internal combustion engine vehicles.
What about plain packaging for petrol cars?
With a rotting mouth.
They only come in hot pink or a rotting mouth, that would be, or just someone,
just some lung, maybe a stroke or a heart attack or some asthma.
Something graphic,
something really graphic of how it actually affects human health. This vehicle
cars.
This vehicle will harm your health, and
beware.
Buyer beware.
Buyer beware. Wow.
Let's don't. Well, we won't even start talking about airline travel and cruise ships and stuff like that. Let's not even go there.
Yes. Just plain package everything that has a lot of smog coming out of it, right?
Oh,
Why
dear.
not? Seem to work well in Australia with cigarettes, but yes, maybe
Why
slightly
not?
different.
What's the difference?
Well, the difference is kids aren't walking into the car dealerships and just flippantly buying themselves a
They're not
car,
lying
but,
down next to a tailpipe and just breathing it in, stuck it on the back of a tailpipe.
I
You
hope
may as well
not.
be. You may as well be.
That's right. Now we've been driving a couple of other cars recently. I was at the launch of the Genesis GV60, of course, which we'll just cover really
Yeah,
briefly.
how was that?
Yeah, look, it was good. Went to Canberra, and so the GV60 being their electric midsize, well, compact SUV. Let's call it. It's been out for a little bit. This is an updated version. And they've reduced the price significantly. You know, it started before, when it first came out, I think it was well over $100,000 for the base model of the GV60. They've basically taken one of the motors out. It's now rear-wheel drive, and it starts at under $90,000, which is underneath the luxury car tax and the limit for the FBT exemption. So particularly for now. So good for those who are looking for a novated lease, I suppose, and opens themselves up to that kind of consumer base. So I think that's probably a good thing. I mean, Genesis being the luxury branch of the Hyundai group, it's they've struggled to sell the GV60 electric in Australia. It hasn't sold many. I think they sold about 13 or 14 in the entire calendar year of 2025. Wow. And so obviously they need to do something to try and make it a bit more of a compelling offer. And I think
does it still have the thing that flips, the gear selector, that like a Bond villain?
Yes, the Bond villain sort of diamond-looking globe thing that does a 180 and turns into your... Look,
amazing.
Yes, I was anxious that they wouldn't keep that, but I was thankful to see that they had. And it's one of the coolest features I've seen in any car, to be honest.
So cool.
So yes, they've kept that. Just gotten rid of one of the engines. Still fast enough. Definitely not a performance vehicle. And yeah, it's a car which it's in an interesting space, isn't it? I mean, I think it's definitely good that they've brought the price down by $15,000 or so, but it still occupies a space which is a little bit, it's well above the top. I wouldn't say it's cluttered, because it's kind of like,
we've got a lot of cars that are pricey like that, haven't we? Don't we?
Well, not as well. I would say the clutter really sits around that 50s, 60, and early 70s kind of range. When you spec out a 7X or you spec out a Model Y, you're getting into the 70s, I think, for
But
those
I'm thinking
vehicles.
like European. You've got the BMWs and Mercedes, and you've got that classic European EV.
But not really in the electric space, though. I mean, the BEV space, there, you do have like the Volvo ES90, I suppose. You've got Polestar.
BMW have got a few
3,
things.
I think. They've got a couple of things, but they don't sell that much. And none of these vehicles are high-selling vehicles. And so...
Yeah, because we're not all loaded.
That's right. That's right.
I don't have that kind of money to spend on a car, but... No.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, obviously, it's a less mass
Mind
market,
you, there are plenty
section.
of people who drive around in cars that are 100, 150 grand, driving around the eastern suburbs and North Shore of Sydney.
There are, yeah, absolutely.
And they're all European cars, and they've all got 2 tailpipes, and I'm like, why are you driving that? Why didn't you just buy an electric car? That still actually really hurts me, especially when I'm sitting behind them on my electric moped and breathing in the tailpipes of those vehicles. But no judgment.
Sounds like there is a bit of judgment, Sarah. I've got to admit.
Okay, I am judging them. I'm totally 100% judging them.
All right, back to the Genesis though. It is. I think
I like that car.
It's a much improved vehicle than its previous one, just because of the discounted price and. It's still funny. It's very nice to drive. It feels it's really nice inside. It's not a lot of space. You don't have a huge amount of space in there. It is a pretty small SUV. But if you like Genesis and you like that kind of styling, then I think it's a great car to drive.
Oh, we loved the original one we drove, like the old one. It's great.
Yeah, look, great to drive. Great to drive. Not personally my aesthetic, but it's just for those who like that kind of aesthetic, it's kind of they've gone. It's not one of those sort of minimalist ones. You've
No,
got
it's a bit
lots of
blingy.
buttons.
It's a bit
It's a
blingy.
bit
Love it.
blingy. It is a bit blingy. Absolutely, yeah.
I feel like it's potentially an older audience who's a bit blingy.
Yeah, it is a
Bit
bit
fancy.
more of a sort of a regal sort of feeling to it. Although it does miss a couple of features that you might think would be included in a price at that point. For example, head-up display, no such thing in the advanced model. So it's just the one model now in the GV60. It's the advanced model. There's not two versions, just the one. They call it the advanced, and there's no steering wheel heating, there's no head-up display, and there's no massage seat functionality, which I would thought would be something you might want in a luxury vehicle. There are of course other vehicles that have that kind of stuff for less than that, but yeah, it's still a nice car to drive, and I just wonder how many people
will
buy it, and how many people actually look at Genesis and think, oh, that's Hyundai's luxury branch and not just another Chinese brand.
Yeah, I don't think it's terribly well known.
No. I mean, it's been around, but just hasn't been that hasn't really had that much of a penetration in Australia. Anyway, they've also got now just the one version of the GV60, but then they brought out the GV60 Magma. So Magma being the new performance identity of Genesis, and that's basically it's the same vehicle, but it's just got a ridiculous amount of power, and it's got black trimmings, and it looks very sporty, and it comes in this orange color, which
is it dual motor?
It is a dual motor. Yes.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Oh yeah. It's a dual motor.
And orange obviously makes it go faster. So obviously.
It is tremendously fast. I actually didn't get to drive that. Oh, I did drive it for a little bit in Canberra. I drove it again in Sydney the week later, and it's got this sort of synthetic gearbox sounds, which I think sound pretty real. I think that they've done a bad job in it. It just kind of makes me anxious. Just the speed and everything together just feels like I was driving.
Did that feel much more overpowered than the Uncharted, for example?
It felt more like a race track than it wasn't. The transition and the acceleration wasn't as smooth. It kind of felt like you were like going, like you were just really accelerating, and it was kind of scary at the pace you were accelerating. Whereas it felt the Uncharted was a bit more measured, and it depends what you're looking for. But
if
the
you're
Magma
led foot, beware.
Yeah, my God, it was scary.
Wow.
But it's cool. I mean, I think you're going to see Magma now in more Genesis vehicles as their performance identity, a bit like how Hyundai have the N line.
Okay.
So that's going to be the Genesis version of it. So, $130,000 or so on the Magma.
I'm getting it on loan soon, so that'll be something to be
Magma?
terrified of. Both. I think I'm getting both.
Very much look forward to seeing your thoughts on the Magma. It is quite a vehicle if you're into acceleration. Anyway, we'll see how those two go. Perfectly great vehicles. If you're into something at that price point, or you're looking for a real performance vehicle, then my God, it's fast. On the other end of the spectrum, you've got the Atto 1 at the moment. What do you think of that?
Yeah, well, as I said, it's a doddle to park, and I'd go the top spec of that for sure. I think the base model is probably underpowered. Yeah. Speaking of power, it is literally underpowered, I think. And I think, having that 85 kilowatt DC charging would just be useful. And it's got the nice things like a 360 camera, heated seats, and it's just got a few nicer things. A little bit of cost cutting, but it's just a great little sized car. Like, it's just so easy to drive a car like that around the city. If you just want a little runabout, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And the boot's actually a pretty good size. Like, when I compare that to my old Fiat, it's definitely got more room. It's a nicely designed little thing. I think it's sweet, and it's got a cute little face and looks a little bit angry. And
it does look angry, doesn't it?
It's like, I'm bigger than I think I am. And it's fun. I'm genuinely enjoying it. And it was interesting then driving literally in the same week the EX2 and the Atto 1. And I'm pretty sure Little Birdie tells me that the Ion UT, hot tip, this is a little bit of info. If anyone got this far into the podcast, this is a little bit of inside intel. The Ion UT, there's going to be a cheaper, shorter range version of that car coming out, which will be around 300 to 320 kilometres of range, which means it will probably undercut, if not all, but most of the vehicles that we've been talking about. So watch this space.
There you go. I thought you were going to say $300 to $320. And I thought that's a cracking deal.
Considering their base model is 31 grand, 32 grand. I think it's and which is for me the pick. It'll be less than that. So it actually could undercut the Atto 1, which is the cheapest car in Australia, which is 29 something drive away. So in all likelihood, I'm going to guess it will be the cheapest car in Australia, if not very close, when that comes out. And it will have similar range to the top spec Atto 1. So that's going to be very competitive and compelling.
Yeah. There you go. Another hatch.
Yes.
Good stuff.
All right. Brilliant.
All right. I think that's probably what we have time for this week. We've been rambling on. If you made it this far into the podcast, thank you.
Well done. And you held off for the actual really important intel, secret information at the end there. If you did, leave a comment. We'll know you listened to the end.
If we get no comments now, I'm going to be a bit worried that no one's actually gotten this far. But yeah, no, good inside the scoop there, Sarah. Thank you very much. And we will be back in a fortnight with another episode. We do have a guest lined up for that one. I think we've got Robert Llewellyn from Everything Electric, who, there you go, that's a bit of pop culture there for you. He was...
Did you know who he was?
He was in a show called Red Dwarf.
Did you know that, though, before you met him through Everything Electric?
Is that important? I don't think it matters.
Do you know have you ever seen Red Dwarf?
Haven't seen Red Dwarf. That's before my time, Sarah.
It's all before your time.
Yeah.
But I've seen movies from the 1930s and before that. But then I guess you didn't have midday television, really, did you? Maybe a little bit.
Yeah. Ready, Steady, Cook, Judge Judy, Who is Cooking Adventures. If you want to know anything about those shows,
you're all over it.
I'm all over it.
Do you know who
90s kid?
Peter Russell Clark is?
And then I'm looking forward to seeing everyone at the next episode.
Roger Ramjet?
Can you stop embarrassing me, please? Honestly, I'm just going to start getting hate mail in. You're setting me up.
You had one person defend you in the comments on our video about the fact that you hadn't seen Aliens. She understood.
Yeah. She got it. Who cares? Is it even a good movie?
This line of questioning is never going to end, just so you know.
Yeah, well, I'm going to find it.
Mind you, don't ask me things from today because I won't have a clue.
Yeah, well, I'm going to find a clink in your armor and start peppering you with questions.
Easily.
Sorry for the long time in between drinks between this episode and the last one. It was just a combination of scheduling conflicts. I was actually quite sick a couple of weeks ago.
You were launching the new website look of the Driven as well, which was epic.
That was also a big job. Yes, getting there and just ironing out a few bits and bobs. But yes, that's mostly sorted. I'm feeling better. I'm not sick anymore.
Which is very good.
And which is always good. So thanks to the Australian Electric Vehicle Association, who are sponsors of this podcast. Thanks again for your continuing support. Thank you, Sarah. Always good to chat.
Thank you, Sam.
And we'll be back in a couple of weeks with another episode of the Driven podcast. So if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. And subscribe to the Driven Daily Newsletter if you haven't already at thedriven.io.
And remember, you can watch us on YouTube. You can see our faces.
Which is lovely for everyone. What a pitch.
I don't think I can look anything but tired today after such a massive day. So
looking pretty good for someone who just did a 12-hour day.
Very, very bright light on my face, trying to help me through the dog tiredness that I feel from deliriously long day. But it was great.
Well,
with the Geely X2. Very happy to see that car in Australia finally. It's good.
Good indeed. Good to see it. And we'll be back, of course, we'll be able to discuss next time our thoughts on the actual drive of the vehicle too, which will be nice.
Yes.
So until then, take care of yourself.
The Driven podcast was proudly brought to you by the Australian Electric Vehicle Association, Australia's leading voice for EV consumers and enthusiasts. The AEVA is a volunteer-run, not-for-profit community dedicated to electrifying Australia's transport as quickly as possible. So why not join the AEVA and support the transition to zero-emissions transport? Visit aeva.asn.au/membership.